Hey, Zach. It's me. I can't stop thinking about you. I know you've been waiting for this for a while. I wanted to give you something special. Who are you? Why are you doing this?
Let me introduce you to Lucas Gatewood. He's 26 years old, lives in Lansing, 80 miles from where we are right this very moment. He met a victim on Snapchat. The victim was innocent. The victim created a conversation. Lucas built a grooming relationship with the victim. So much so that he drove 80 miles, and that's important, 80 miles into this county, picked her up, drove back to his residence, and shared a box of cereal with her, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Got done with that and watched Disney movies. The victim was 12 years old. The prosecutor's office charged Gatewood just this week with a CSE first degree, a life offense, and he's in the Genesee County Jail right now on a $50,000 cash bond. My name is Chris Swanson, the Sheriff of Genesee County, Flint, Michigan. To my right is Deputy Tori Dallas. She's one of our ghost investigators. And to her right is Nisi Holloman from Voices for Children. Nisi is the director, and her staff do the forensic interviews of all of our victims when it comes to those harmed by human trafficking, sexual abuse, or assault. Because there's people like Gatewood that brought us to where we are right now, and he's one of thousands. And the town hall you have right now is one of many conversations we're going to have. Conversations that are being heard and seen around the world. Just now on our platform, we welcome people from the UAW down to Detroit, 1A, UAW 1D here in Flint. We have viewers and followers that are watching us from school districts around the country. We have people that are following us on different platforms. Our most recent post about this conversation and about another case, we welcome our friends from Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Florida, California, New York, and Texas. These are states where have people that in the tens of thousands have watched where we're going and what they can learn from experiences like what I just mentioned. And that's why Tori's here, and that's why Nisi's here. Together, we're just one small part of a big organization to tackle the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world, and that is human trafficking. Each one of us have a different level of expertise. And there's many more of us, not only in Genesee County that represent G.H.O.S.T, but around the country that are doing a great work when it comes to combating human trafficking and combating predators and pedophiles who go after the most vulnerable population. And that's why this town hall is here, is to give you the information that you need as moms and dads and friends and grandparents and aunts and uncles and nieces and people that just care about other people, to really dive deep into how is this happening? Why is it continuing to happen? And sadly, it's because of the one portal that we all are aware of, and that is the internet. Sites, and more importantly, apps and games. This is the predator's playbook. This is what predators on the other side of the screen use to tap into the lives of the people you love the most. And we're going to go through these apps. We don't know everything because it changes by the day, but we're going to give you information that I beg you to share, to talk about. We're going to talk about these different platforms because by the time G.H.O.S.T gets involved, the Genesee Human Oppression Strike Team, the damage is done. By the time they get to Genesee and in a forensic interview, and the word forensic means criminal, a criminal interviewer who's extrapolating the data in an interview in a forum where these little ones are just telling their story, so innocent, but they don't realize the long-term effects of that. By the time they get to Genesee, the damage is done. Now we're into rehabilitation and aftercare, which we love to do, but we would much rather it never even come across our doorstep. And what you're going to hear is some shocking things. You're going to hear about ways that the system is built, that those that build the apps, they build it in to keep it away from you. They keep it away from those that can build accountability. It's the dark web, we call it. G.H.O.S.T was a concept. It started from some experiences I've had internationally with a big international organization over 5 years ago. And on the way back from Haiti, I'm in the air and I thought, why are we not doing it here? And I got with my predecessor at the time and I pitched the idea. And since 2018, we've done rescue operations. We've worked with all our partners in the community, other law enforcement, federal, state, local. G.H.O.S.T has done preemptive strikes where we post as a 15, 14, and 13-year-old and we find where the predators are lurking and they come to us. And we also see people that are sexing themselves out on the internet. People that are being pimped out. Because prostitution is bad in and of itself, but what human trafficking is sex against someone's will. Sex, even under the age of 17, even if they agree to it, by definition, is human trafficking. Whenever someone demeans themselves enough to sell their body for money, or when someone takes that body and sells it and they become an asset, this is something our country and this world cannot stand for. And that's why G.H.O.S.T started. And that's why we have such a record. We have arrested over 90 pedophiles in the last 2.5 years. Some of the most horrific cases. We've arrested these individuals from all walks of life. Majority of them have no criminal history. They don't look like a monster, like a predator. They just look like you and I. And that's what they want you to think. They want you to let your guard down, to knock on the doors of your houses through the internet, through a phone, and through an app. That's what they want. But this is where we need you, because this isn't just us talking. This is where we need you to, in the comment section, send us your questions. We may already answer these throughout our conversation, but I want you to start prepping, like, what do you really want to know from this? We know what we know, but we want you to walk away from here knowing this is one of many conversations, but with the answers that you need to keep your people safe. So send in the comment section your questions. Tell us your name if you want, your last name, that's cool. The city that you're from, and the state or the country you reside. Because we have friends in the UK and South Africa and Australia that are watching right now. They've already been excited about this conversation because it's not just here. And that's what we're going to bring you. So I want you to meet Tori Dallas. Tori is a fierce investigator. She's assigned to G.H.O.S.T. But Tori's going to go over some different apps, and you're going to see them come up. You're going to see the logos, and we're going to break it down one after another. Tori?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having this discussion. I think it's long overdue. There's so many parents out there that have no idea what some of the apps are. All they think is Facebook, but there's so many. So with that said, I said 14, but it is ever changing. It's literally like a game of whack-a-mole. So as soon as we discover one, there's another one that takes its place. And we have to learn about it.
Yes.
And we learn about it the hard way. I'm on several of these sites, and I have to tell you, it's frightening. What I see is frightening. I'm middle-aged, and some of the things I see as a middle-aged woman, it's hard to process. But as a 13-year-old, a 9-year-old, I can't imagine how they process this. So with that said, the very beginning ones, the most popular ones, like you mentioned, was Snapchat. There's Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook Messenger. Everybody says Facebook is dead.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not dead, I promise you that. A lot of the conversations we see is strictly through Facebook Messenger. I'm going to go back to Snapchat. Snapchat, the big story out there is I can send something and it will disappear.
Yeah.
That's not true. It is not true. Even if you send a video to somebody, you can unsuspectingly have their friend videotape it, or they videotape it. And then that's how we have personally seen sextortion, where they have showed the video out because they think it's not going to be shared. Another scary thing
Let me
about
say real quick,
Snapchat.
explain in 10 seconds less, sextortion.
Sextortion is blackmailing a person because they've sent a picture out, and now you are basically saying, send me more pictures, or I will tell your parents, I'll tell this person, and the kid doesn't know what to do, or the adult doesn't know what to do. They're just being blackmailed, and that's why we call it sextortion.
And they could even say if they're local, because a lot of these apps have locations.
Yes,
I'm going to come,
it
you're going to have sex with me,
Yes.
or I'm going to show the picture.
Show the picture, and the thing about it is the internet has all of this public information about us, so all it takes is them knowing your name, your last name, and then they know where you live if they do a simple Google search, and so they can say, I'm going to send the pictures to your parents, I'm going to call your parents. It's very, very, it's a blackmailing situation that the kids don't know how to get out of. It's a mistake that they make, and they don't feel comfortable enough coming to tell their parents.
They're embarrassed, they're humiliated, they have
100%.
shame.
It's sinister is
Yeah.
really what it is. So with that, when you said the location, when I was on a 13-year-old's phone trying to talk to somebody, I said, show me your location, and I found exactly where he lived. And the kids do that. The kids, it's like the more followers they have, and the more they can go on there, they can go to like Cedar Point. I want to see if any of my followers are in Cedar Point. They put it on there. So Instagram, so that's what's.
So if I put on my locator and I'm on Snapchat and I'm in my bedroom and I live at 123 Main Street and somebody who lives 100 miles away wants to come here, how close can they get to me if I'm in my bedroom on 123 Main Street?
Directly to your
Yeah,
house.
right there. I mean, it
As
might
in-
not show the photo, but
It's gonna point you
So,
right to
yeah.
the house.
And you can even
Yes.
geo right down to it.
Yeah.
So that's what's frightening. With Instagram, Instagram is a picture video sharing site. Video, they do like the Facebook, or I'm sorry, not Facebook, the live stories all the time. So kids are constantly doing that, and they're always asking for followers, follow me. Now with their Instagram stories, they're always putting their Snapchat
LinkedIn.
name. That's, so everything is
Yeah.
LinkedIn. The bigger your digital footprint is, the better is what they like.
When
And
you say they, you're talking predators.
both. I mean, because if I'm a child or anybody, I want everybody to know
Yeah.
where I am. So this is where I am on this site. This is where I am on this site.
branding.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's
100%.
kind of brainwashing because kids want to be branded as I'm somebody.
Now, there's a lot of adults that have Instagrams.
Yeah,
I have
adults.
an Instagram.
Adults.
But is there two different types of Instagram?
There is.
Yeah.
There's a Finsta.
Check this out.
A Finstagram. A Finsta is a fake Instagram. So a lot of kids, a lot of teens, they'll have their Instagram and you'll say, well, I've seen my daughter. She shows pictures of of her puppy and what we're doing as a family. It's really innocent. And only the cousins and grandma and grandpa can see it. That's her real one. But then they have a Finsta, which is a fake Instagram. That's who they really are. Or at the moment, they're showing and sharing things and saying things that they don't want people to see.
And it's human nature that when you think you're not going to get caught, you do things you wouldn't normally do.
Correct.
So the people who would hold you accountable would say no. And that's where it gets
Yeah.
into that sextortion.
And 100%.
Yeah.
And even with the Instagram, it's still, when she talks about the Finstagram, it's still on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's just their fake profile is what we call the Finstagram. And then they're messaging back and forth. And as parents, you think, oh, I can see their conversation. It's with grandma. It's with her friend Susie from the second grade. But on her Finstagram, there are so many other people that she or he is talking to.
And the one thing about like Snapchat, back in the day, if somebody wanted to get with us, they'd be like, hey, what's your name and phone number? Now it's, what's your Snap?
Right.
What's your username? And like
Yeah,
Tori
username.
said, it's linked to everything. So
It is linked
if
to
you
everything. It's
give
crazy.
your username to be Tori D, that could be Instagram, Snapchat, Kik. It could be all those different ones.
Yes, and that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
scary. Everything is linked. And then with the Facebook Messenger, it's just another messaging app, and I'm finding that kids are really using that a lot more.
because they have the secret chat feature. And not a lot of parents know how to figure out how to get to the secret conversation. So they can set timers where it literally will delete the message within 30 seconds. So if you don't catch it fast enough, then you won't know. So that's how they think that they're sending these pictures. But what parents don't recognize is that you can screen record. So people download screen record. Apple has screen record on there. So as soon as they're sending that picture, the person is screen grabbing it and taking it and then sextorting the kid.
You're talking about naked pictures,
Naked
nudes.
pictures.
Yeah.
Penises, vaginas, I'm gonna call it out, the breast,
right.
the behind, everything. And so they think because their face is not in there, the
That's right.
person has already grabbed it and you can see that
Yep.
it came from Susie's page.
And not only that, they can see who's following you that's related to you, and they could say, if you and I were
Yes.
brother and sister, hey, Chris, I'm gonna send this to Genesee. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's my sister. Oh my gosh, and you start to panic.
Right.
And what's really frightening is that kids are sending pictures, nude photos, and then there's predators that are capturing those photos and they're sharing them.
Right.
So your now photo that you sent to somebody that you thought was a friend it could be a predator.
Right.
And so now they've taken that photo and they've shared it on the dark web.
So can you explain how to find a secret chat option on Messenger?
Oh, yes. If you're on Messenger, if you click on your picture in the top left-hand corner, then it's going to give you a bunch of different options. You'll see secret conversation right there, and that's how you'll be able to find out if your kids are having secret conversations. The other thing is it'll change a different color. So if you don't have your phone set on dark mode, then it'll change to a dark color when you're on the secret messenger.
So as parents, or anybody watching right now, here's your first to-do step, besides a lot of what's probably already going on in your mind. Just go on Messenger, click to see if it's already enabled. If it is, then that's the first conversation you have is to, why would you do secret messenger? What's behind it? If you don't see it and it's not enabled, then that's having another conversation to say, hey, let me tell you how proud I am of you for not doing this, and don't do it, here's why. Keep going.
And then the next one is TikTok. TikTok, I watch TikTok. I mean, there's a lot of
fun.
there's a lot of good videos on there. But again, I'm an adult.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids are on there. I see kids that are like 9 years old making videos. I'm watching their videos and they're begging for followers. Please follow me. Can you follow me? I need a follower. If your child is on TikTok, I strongly encourage you to read the comments. Read what people are commenting to your child. That is a big one. You would probably be frightened if you saw those. The next one, the top
One more
one.
thing, Genesee, why is it so important to have the conversations with kids who don't feel like anybody loves them, wants to be with them, and they beg for followers? What is the followers add?
That's the piece, the followers piece. A lot of times kids think that they're going to be found by famous people, that they are now popular. Nowadays, kids just want to be popular. They want to get to that For You page. They want to have tens of thousands of people following them, and it makes them feel justified.
Yeah.
But with cyberbullying, you also run the risk of kids committing suicide, being depressed, and you have no idea what's going on, because if you're not paying attention to those comments, you don't know that the kid is being cyberbullied. If you're not paying attention to the comments, you don't know that the kid is being sextorted. You don't know any of those things. So it's really, really important for parents to not just say, oh, TikTok, there's a whole nother platform. You got to get on there. You got to learn it. It's not okay to say that you don't know how to use a particular app.
Now, this may be a naive thing, because we've got viewers right now that are already tipping in from Arizona, Louisiana, West Virginia. This isn't just Michigan, this is global, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking, there's, and it may sound crazy, but there are people who are already experiencing this trauma. And if you don't know how to take this information and keep from somebody else having it, having that same trauma, then we are not doing our job. So for those that are tuning in right now, that are sharing this message, thank you. Wait till you hear what we're about to tell you when it comes to other apps that are not ones that you're probably familiar with, like Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. Listen to this.
Well, I was going to also add Kik. Kik is also really popular, and Kik is just a good old-fashioned chat room where you can just walk in there and just chat, and you can just hashtag something, and just people think that it's supposed to be for a certain, like kids and above, but if you just do a little investigation, not even that much, and look at the screen names and the photos, some of the photos are naked body parts. That's the photo.
They're talking the profile
Their
photo.
profile picture
Yes.
is of their naked body part. So they're really, you need to dig in there, and your
Yeah.
kids are on there. Another,
You talked to followers, you said you've talked to parents, and
Mm-hmm.
I know my kid's stuff. And then you say, do you know your kids?
well, followers.
Yeah.
Because you always hear kids, always our parents say, I know exactly where my kids are. I know who their friends are. I know their parents. I know where they are. I drop them right
I have
off.
Life 360.
Yes, I drop them off at the mall. They're not walking in that parking lot alone. Here's a question for you. How many followers does your daughter have on Facebook? Or not Facebook, Instagram.
Snapchat.
Yeah, it's just, like what?
Yeah.
So then let's take a look. Your daughter has 1,500 followers. She's in the 7th grade. I mean, I feel. I had.
I don't know,
knew
1,500
people. 4
Yep.
people.
Right.
Yep.
So what you're doing is you're letting all these people follow you.
Right in your front door.
And so kids are taking videos in their bedroom and they're dancing. Well, 1,500 people
Yep.
are now watching them.
Yeah.
So it's not, the danger is not, in the parking lot of the
Yeah.
mall. It's in your kid's bedroom.
And that's where
what's
we,
happening.
as a culture, need to realize that life is moving fast. Like, what we're talking about now, in a week from now, could be totally different. There's something new happening. And I think it's important, because I don't know all my kids' followers. My kids are older, 22 and 19 and 20, but I don't, you have to continuously be a part of that. Like, hey, let me see it. There's accountability that has to happen.
100%.
We talked about KIK, and we can't do it now for the sake of time. KIK, K-I-K. If you literally put in there on a profile and said, I'm bored, and
Get
use some
some
curse
responses.
words, how fast does it take for somebody to respond back that you don't even know?
Immediately.
Microseconds.
Yeah, immediately.
There are people that are 24/7. We got viewers right now from the United Kingdom. It doesn't matter if you're in a different time zone. There are people right now in houses, even in the UK, that are seeking that attention that Nisi follows. Tell us about LMK.
LMK is something that I had never heard of until one of the a girl that has been sexualized. And what it is, it's almost like a Tinder for teens. It's a group, you go on there, it's you can't find your location on there. That's the good thing about it. You can just go into chat rooms. You can define followers and find friends. You can swipe on people, kind of like Tinder. Like, I think this person looks good, I want to follow them. You can enter in chat rooms, and the chat rooms, which was interesting, it's an audio chat room. So you enter this chat room and you can just have all these conversations and people are talking. With chatting, it was a little bit, it was a little safer, kids felt, because nobody can see me, nobody
Yeah.
can hear me, so I'm gonna chat. But now they're talking. And then they also have them now where you can kind of like Zoom, where you can enter these rooms and you can see each other. And I mean, I've been on it for work purposes at night, and I'm like, all these kids are on here talking to all
2
these
o'clock in
people
the morning.
in their bedroom.
Yeah.
And let's add another, can that be monetized too? Can the predators in the back end? Listen to this.
Well, what they do is, in order to, it's digital currency. Kids like the likes, the follows. They want all these digital currency. So if you make a video, you get coins. And then if you make the more videos you send, the more coins you get. And then the coins turn to diamonds, and the diamonds can turn into Cash App and money. But young kids, what you were saying, it's all about the followers. So they don't really necessarily want the money, they want the followers. They want, like, let me send a heart, let me send a, somebody was sending dolphins. Like, that is everything.
So we're gonna do something
That means
cool.
that they're popular. That means that people
Yeah.
want them, and so then they're willing to do even more. And if you bring sextortion back to it, if somebody gets a picture of them and then they say, "Hey, I'm going to get all these pedophiles to start paying me
Yep.
to have this kid take off her clothes or put this on or put that on or little boys," because I don't only want to focus on girls,
Yeah.
because this happens to
That's
boys
right.
as well, because they will send inappropriate pictures as well. And so what happens is the pedophile is over here making money off the kid, and the kid is having to stick things in orifices that they shouldn't be sticking things into, touching themselves, doing all kind of things. And parents are in their bed asleep, and the kid is in the bathroom or in their bedroom doing all of this stuff.
On top of that, they could be modeling clothes, they could be doing
Yeah.
all these, they
You're
think they're gonna break
beautiful.
it.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
so
you're so amazing.
beautiful.
It's all part of that
Yes.
grooming that we've talked
Yeah.
about. Do me a favor, grab your phone. I want you to see how fast this goes when it comes to Kik. And log into a chat, and then see how long it takes for them to tell you what it's happening.
Do you want Kik or do you want the LMK where you
LMK,
can
do
hear him
LMK.
talking?
Yeah, do LMK, because
So-
Kik is, it doesn't have the audio to it.
No,
So for the sake of our audience, do LMK.
So LMK, I'm just gonna go at, okay, you can't see it. These right here are all of the chat rooms, okay? It's kind of, they're called audio rooms. They are broke up to all interests, discussions, music, gaming, motivational. I have said that I'm 12 years old. So I am gonna go into, I'm gonna find one who has a lot of, and we'll show how many users are in there.
And this is LMK.
This one
that's
has,
a
I
good
don't want
one.
to do that one. Okay, this one is, it's called Rate and Roast Us, which is really bad because of bullying, but it gets pretty bad, so I just go ahead and enter it in.
Yo, she was thinking long and hard.
So I don't up there.
She was thinking for a good fat minute. How do you spell shock?
Stop this
Listen to laughs.
unless you're actually gonna talk, cause like these kids on this
I gotta follow.
God, Aiden.
You kick my ass for the fucking talk.
A question, see how long it takes for them to respond to you.
Oh, Aiden, pipe it down a bit.
Now, mind you, they're not in the rooms listening to this audio out loud. They have their headphones on. Extreme caution that when people have AirPods on, headphones, Beats, this,
Right here, Ava,
Rate the boys, and then the girls. Wait, no, the girls.
they want me to rate the boys, so I can see photos, they want me to see their photos, so I can rate them.
Yeah, give him a.
So, I mean, you were just talking.
and if you look at the actual profile pictures, they're all avatars.
Yeah.
They're not even the real thing.
But you can click on the photo. I can click on his photo.
Show them as you're
I
clicking
just,
on it real quick.
yeah, I just want to show who it is. And they will show the photos. So you can show a lot of photos. So that's what it is. I mean, some people have several photos that
Now,
they
we're not
send.
saying these sites, just like Instagram, Snapchat, even Twitter, all those, there's a lot of good that comes from that. But it's that element that we talk about that you need to be aware of. What is the other, we talk about Live Me.
Live Me and OK Live, it's a live streaming site. When you talked about, boys that are victimized, we just had, we saw a case not too long ago where it was a young boy under the age of 10. He was on one of these sites and he was broadcasting himself. And watching it was actually pretty sad because he was like begging, please, please come follow me, see me, everything. And what was happening is that people were chatting him, they were encouraging him to take his pants down. And then the scary part of it was they found out that he had a younger brother. And they're saying, let me see the younger brother, take me to the younger brother. And so you have adults basically coaching this young boy on what to do.
What app was that?
It was on either Live Me or OK Live. It's just a broadcasting app.
Yeah.
And what's scary is a lot of these conversations were happening at 4 a.m. The kids are in their room with their phones. So this is really scary. And, they were sharing photos.
Yeah.
This young boy is sharing photos. And now how is he going to process that as an adult? I mean, he
Right.
he was so young.
You said something that, and this could be shocking, I don't mean it to be offensive, but we're gonna be real, like Nisi said. When a kid's 16 years old right now, what are the chances that they have already been sent or requested to have sent of themselves a genital picture?
Oh,
It's-
100%.
yes.
What did you just say?
They 100%, they probably have had.
Wait, parents are
multiple
freaking
ones.
out that, you're telling me my 12-year-old kid has already been
Yes.
sent
Penis
a-
pictures, vagina pictures, breast pictures, yes.
Yes.
100%,
It's like saying hi now.
yeah.
I mean, I get so much, and it's just rapid fire, how many they do, and I'm like not even a hello?
Right.
Like, they just send it to you.
They'll send you a penis picture
Yeah.
and then they'll be like, hi, you wanna talk?
Yeah, can I come and get you? Hey,
Right.
let's go hang out.
And it's not even spelled C-O-M-E, it's spelled
Yeah.
C-U-M.
Yeah, and it's just,
So it's already directed towards
yeah.
sex and
Right.
trafficking, and
Yes.
they don't call it trafficking, it's just deviancy, sexual
Correct,
deviancy.
correct.
All right, Now, parents right now, and people that are watching, again, you're going to send in your name, your city, your state, and your country for some questions we're going to get to. We have a lot more to talk about, but I want you to know that you're going to be able to interact. And if there's a question we haven't answered, we're going to take the time. We have many of these conversations down the line. Our next one's going to be February the 9th. But we have more to talk about when it comes to protecting your people and my people, our families, our community. We talk about Twitch and Discord. We just actually had a case that involved Discord.
Yes.
And it started with a couple things, Discord, Snapchat, and a game.
Yes.
So tell us about Twitch and Discord.
Discord is not new. It's been around for a couple years,
Right.
a while. However, it was new to us in the sense that it was the only way they were chatting was through Discord. We looked through all of their messaging apps. We looked through everything, but the only time they were messaging was on Discord. And they were playing a game. They were playing, I'm not sure what the video game
Fortnite.
was. It was a Fortnite.
Yeah.
And they were playing it. And what was interesting about it is, as I was trying to read the conversation, a lot of it got lost in context because they were talking on the phone as well. They would be on the phone, texting all through the night. Talking on the phone, they would have their earphones on. This guy was telling her, like, let me fall asleep to you. They would fall asleep to each other, looking at each other. I mean, that's creepy.
And we talk about this, and Nisa, you and I have had conversations about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That is the psychological need people have. The base being, safety, food, shelter, clothing, and then as it goes up the pyramid, it's that feeling of togetherness, belongingness. And so when someone's lacking it here at the home, and a pedophile or a predator is going to fake fill that void, it's an immediate attraction, and that's where grooming comes in. And when you talk about Discord, and the open door may be a game site, like we're going to talk about those in a second. It may just be because anybody can live chat somebody on a Fortnite game or a Roblox or Call of Duty, and then take them to another one of these apps.
Yeah.
I just want to kind of go back to like falling asleep. I mean, I just went on one of these apps last night. I screenshotted it. Just so you can see, just some random person messages into a group, into the void, and says, who wants to fall asleep on Fortnite tonight? Girls only. So
And was that a male or female that
It was a
posted?
male.
Okay. A male posted, who wants to fall asleep tonight? Females only. I mean,
While we're playing.
what healthy response is that going to get?
Right.
It's going to be somebody that you see in an interview
Right.
who feels that they need that connection.
Right. They're not getting the friends at school, the boys aren't liking them, they want a boyfriend. And so they see this person and, oh, he wants to
Cute,
fall
yeah.
asleep with me. That's
Yeah.
so wonderful. Because that's what they're seeing on TV, and all of their teen things are on YouTube and all of those different pieces. And so it meets a need that the child has. So she thinks, oh, he loves me, we want to fall asleep together. I get to tell my friend that I have a friend that fell asleep with me. But he has nefarious ideas about what's going to happen with
Yeah.
this next.
Yes, 100%. And just to see what is happening, like they're falling asleep with their headphones on. They're in their room with their headphones on. That was a lot of the conversation that we were seeing with one girl, where the mom has no idea because she doesn't hear that other person's voice. It's all on a headphone.
And what do parents think when the house is quiet? Everything's okay.
Everybody's fine.
And the
And that's
difference
far from the
is,
truth.
you brought it up, back in the day, like we were on the phone, it was a pen and a pencil. So you fall asleep on the phone, your mom can always pick up the other side of the phone.
Right.
But that's not what's happening here
Yeah.
because the kids have on their headphones.
Yeah.
And so you don't know who the people are, because if Johnny's calling your house, you know Johnny's calling the house. Who's Johnny? Tell me more about Johnny. But when you have headphones on, or they're messaging each other, because the fact is, it's not phone calls, it's not necessarily that they're really having verbal conversation. It's literally that they're sitting there chatting. Their entire life is text messaging back and forth with other people. And so, do you know who your child is messaging, direct messaging, having conversations with? That's the key question.
Somebody who's, I almost want to say addicted to online gaming or, conversations on apps. How many hours do you think in a 24-hour period are they talking?
A good 12, 13, 14.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, we took a phone, seized a phone. Once it was downloaded, I went through and just started reading conversations. It took me 3 work days to get through 5 days because
So
it was
24 hours.
non-stop.
And this was Discord.
It was Discord.
Yep.
And I was
So
like,
I just
oh
want to put
my
that in
gosh,
perspective.
I mean,
You work
yeah.
8-hour days. We'll take an hour for lunch and a couple bathroom breaks, so a hard 6 hours,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Times 3, 18
Yeah.
hours to go through 5 days of conversation
Yeah, I
at
mean,
Discord.
like
It was nonstop.
And within 24 hours, they were madly in love.
Mm-hmm.
Madly in love.
You know, we've got people from North Carolina watching. Connie, we're going to talk about that. You bring up a great point about building trust and honesty with children. And that's going to, when DC talks about how the forensic interview builds a relationship with a victim, it is 100% trust and honesty based. So don't forget to answer that. Go ahead, Tori, talk about the other ones you have on your list.
The other ones, we haven't really seen so much, but I know other agencies have seen them. I know that you've said that you've dealt with them. Whisper is an app where you can, it's based on your location. So you can put in your location and then they can find out where you were and you can share secrets. And then like somebody could say, you know, I'm really bored, I'm lonely. Within minutes, you can have people respond to you, and if you want, you can meet. House Party got really popular.
Can I stop for a second? We just did an experiment
Yeah.
before this.
Yeah.
And tell us our whisper experiment without going into details that we may use for our toolkit.
Right. Basically, I went, I downloaded the app too. I was looking on there, and we ended up seeing the same person on the app, and we knew who it was. And I mean, and go ahead.
From the time someone posts
Yeah.
a secret, how fast did it take for somebody to respond?
A second.
And how close were they?
0.1 miles away.
Yeah, it's so creepy.
So now, somebody who feels that they can't talk to anybody, maybe they feel socially awkward, they've been bullied, maybe for whatever reason, they want to share the secret. They send it to somebody,
Talking,
within
yeah.
a tenth of a mile,
Yeah.
somebody's already picked it up within a nanosecond and said, I know your secret, and then that's where the connection
And let
starts.
me say, I looked at it from my office, which was not 0.1 miles away, and it said 3 miles away. And then as I got closer, it just kept going down and down and down until I got closer to the person.
Wow.
It's crazy. It is crazy. And based on that, like, people are so lonely right now. Kids more than ever are home on their computers, on their laptops. There has been a huge spike on cases that have originated online because kids they're home, they're not in school. You know, that
Yeah.
infrastructure that everybody relies on isn't there. So kids are at home, they're in their bedrooms, or on their phones, or on their laptops. Parents are maybe working, so
Yeah.
they're alone. Guess who else is on the phone?
Yeah.
Guess. Predators.
And let me say, when
Yeah.
you think of online, you're probably thinking, you know, internet. We're talking app-based.
That's right. We're not going to www.predator.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah.
these are all apps that are instant. And here's the other thing too, I can look at my, you know, a kid's cell phone and see all the text messages. But these apps are built in to erase the record.
Correct.
So you may think, oh, look, I've done my research.
Yeah, I know.
But there's a whole line of communication that you've never seen. We also talked about, like Discord. It started out as a gaming chat app, right?
Right.
And so you have a whole, which we didn't talk about, the gaming side of it. So obviously there's a lot of games out there. Fortnite, Roblox, and Call of Duty being the top games. Also Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk, yeah.
And what age groups are you seeing that are playing those types of games? So start with like Roblox,
The younger, anyone under the age of 12.
12 years old.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna tie it at the end. Watch Tori wrap it around as to why these are so dangerous, because they all have a common danger. So we have Roblox, which is under 12. What about Cyberpunk? Who plays Cyberpunk?
Anybody that's a teen, 14, 15, 16, plus the older people that are playing Cyberpunk as well.
Fortnite.
It's anybody under the age of 12, usually like 8, 9, 10, 11.
Call of Duty.
Same ages.
Okay. There's one common thing that these and other games have that are extremely dangerous. What is it?
You can communicate on there.
Live chat.
You can live chat, text messages, anything that you can communicate via live chat, messaging, there's danger. And I like to say, you know, the Roblox, even though it's geared towards younger kids,
Yeah.
predators know that.
Yeah, exactly.
So kids, everybody that your child's playing Roblox with is not a child. So that's what you have to really know. And the thing is there's some scary people out there, and a lot of people don't want to kind of acknowledge it, or they think it's happening somewhere else, but it's happening right in our backyard.
And the
that's
games are
scary.
built now so that you are supposed to be having these conversations in order, because you're playing them as a team. And as a team, you guys are fighting. And so you need to know, I'm on the left, you're on the right, they're shooting, they're doing this. And then as they're talking, they're asking questions, and your kid's not even paying attention to the questions that they're asking.
Yeah.
And then, or they want to change their avatar, because your avatar has
Explain what an avatar is.
An avatar is the character that is on the video game. So let's say the avatar has on all blue. Now the company decides that they're going to drop an all blue and white, and you could get a hat. So you need to be able to pay for that. And so you ask your parents say, no, I'm not going to give you any Xbox dollars. I'm not going to give you PlayStation dollars. And so somebody says, hey, if you do this for me, I'll give you free money. And so they give them the money that's necessary. And they say, hey, will you send me a picture of your penis? And then the next thing you know, the kid is getting sextorted again. And we've seen that with the younger boys. I mean, that's why we're not only having this conversation about females, because it happens to our young boys, it happens to teenage boys, and they think that it's okay, but it's not. And they're in this sextortion relationship, and they don't know how to get out of it.
So I will say, even on the games, just like talking about having a secret conversation on Messenger, you can also do that in the games. You can go right into a private lobby. 100%. And so maybe Nisi and I are friends, we know each other, and all of a sudden Tori comes in. But Tori has an avatar that is not who she is. It's a predator.
Yeah.
Next thing is he likes the way Nisi talks. So he's going to say, hey, next time you play, go meet me in this lobby. Mm-hmm. And so when you log on, you're going lobby, and now it's just those two talking, and that's where the grooming starts. You're amazing. You whatever the game is, you're the best ever.
Right.
And all these have those dangers hidden in. Now, in a few minutes, we're going to get into the what to do's, because we don't want to leave you hanging here. But we've talked about, when it comes to the one thing parents and anybody needs to do, that is to get into
their business. Get in their business. Know what it is. I mean, have an open discussion with your children, but don't be so harsh, because you don't want to scare kids to where they get so scared if something happens, they don't come to you.
Yeah.
Because I don't want you to take my phone away, so I'm going to keep this private.
Yeah.
That's where sextortion really grows, because they don't want to come to an adult. So have a discussion with them.
Yeah.
Let them know what's on there. Let them know to only accept follows, friends from people they know, not friends of friends.
Yeah.
Because this is another thing they do. It's so easy. I mean, I've heard predators say, this is how you find a child. Mm-hmm. You request to follow them. They're like, well, I don't know you, is the first thing. Mm-hmm. So what they do is, let me find out everybody who follows you. So then I'm going to start following everybody there. So once you find somebody that is a friend, there's like a familiarity.
Yeah.
Can't even say it.
Familiarity.
Yeah, to it. And also thing is, I always say digital footprint, what you're leaving behind. So many things kids put on there, like I'll use Swanson, like, oh, I was at the popular ice cream store. They'll tag themselves. Well, if I want to find you and become your friend, I'll do a little chat, or they'll say, do I know you? Yeah. Well, I was standing in line the other night with you at the ice cream store. Don't you remember? Because it's so easy to follow you and what you do. Think about how many places you go and you tell the world where you're at.
Yeah.
So if I'm a devious predator, I'm going to do that. And kids want to be accepted. They want to be in. So they're going to tag everything, what they do. So it's so easy. So with that said, is have that discussion with your kids. Go through your child's, their followers, and say, do you know this person? Do you know this person? How do you know this person? My rule of thumb is, if I saw them at Walmart and I didn't have a conversation with them, I don't need to be your friend. So, and that's the biggest thing, because you would be surprised how many people don't know their followers. And then just get in their business is the biggest thing.
A loyal follower watching us from Danville, Virginia right now, so thank you for doing this. Thank you for sharing the message. Tori talked about getting your kids' business, and you mentioned something. We've seen the worst of the worst. There are kids, and that have had their phone taken away and committed suicide. Mm-hmm. There's a balance, and back in the day, as a parent, you take away what means the most to them, but if you do it in a sense of rage and anger without the explanation, that's where many times we have seen that this breakdown happen. So I will tell you this, I can't We can't teach you how to parent, how to grandparent, but I will tell you that, just like what Connie said, that trust and honesty, those conversations you have now, that has to be built every day. So parents feel comfortable asking those hard questions, and kids and grandkids and everybody feels comfortable saying, you can look at my phone. But if there's no trust, there's no relationship there, that's where the problems come. And I want to point out something huge. We have been very guarded as to what we say to you,
100%.
because G.H.O.S.T in our investigations on the other side, that's the playground that we operate. So when she says things like digital footprint, we call those breadcrumbs. And we follow the breadcrumbs. And guess where we're getting a lot of our information? Not only just from forensic interviews, but from the predators we arrest. When we interrogate them, do you know what we ask them? How'd you find her? How'd you find them? What'd you do? They lay out the whole plan. So what we're telling you is from the predator's playbook. That's why this is real information. Now, Niecy's going to follow up with our conversation, and then we're going to open up and question and answer. This video is obviously on Facebook Live. It's also on YouTube. But I want you to share it and comment, and we're going to be back. Again, don't forget, we're not done now, but on February the 9th for Internet Safety Day, we're actually going to have experts in these fields that are experts in these games, because they're going to be young. And they're going to tell you how fast things can happen and what they do. So, Niecy, by the time Tori and I get a victim,
Right.
and G.H.O.S.T does the rescue, we call you up. We've called you guys up. Now, Voices for Children is an organization that is probably duplicated around the country, but
Yes.
you take care of the little ones, the under the 17 years old. But your interviewers are the unnamed heroes, because many times you're getting the evidence that's the only evidence.
Right.
So what is it you do, and what do you see on your end?
So what we do is we work on the victim side of this. So often we're talking about what happens if your kid did this. But now I want to talk about so that you understand what happens from the victim perspective. Because a lot of times they know that it's wrong, but they don't know what to do. And so when we're doing the forensic interview, we're working in tandem with law enforcement and child protective services to get the information that's necessary for them to get the charges, like Sheriff Swanson talked about at the very beginning with that particular defendant. We were able to get information in order to help their investigation to move forward. But not only are we doing that by having a conversation with the kid about trauma, because we never want to traumatize a kid. We never want to take the victim and make them feel like there's any kind of blame. And that's what a forensic interview does. It's really talking to a kid in a trauma-friendly way about what has happened. But then we're going to work with them in therapy. We're going to make sure that they're getting their medical exam. We're going to make sure that they have all of the basic needs that they need to have. But when I talk about therapy, I think that that's the key piece that we have to talk about, because a lot of times kids are, one, nervous about where their picture is because they sent this inappropriate picture. Now who has this inappropriate picture? Or I sent this video, or I was sextorted, and the person who was sextorting me had me do all kind of activities that I don't want anybody to know. But guess what? It's still out there, and he doesn't know exactly where it is. She doesn't know exactly where it is, and they're going to grow up. They're going to apply to college. They're going to do this. And so we have to work through the trauma behind the fact that they made the decision to send it. And so it's never, we remind them, it's not your fault. It's about ensuring that you make the right decisions now. And it's about working together as a family to build the bridge back together, and ensuring that you know that there is success in life. And so we continue to work with the child through therapy, through group therapy, to make sure that they are okay. One of the things that I think Tori talked about is the beginning of how this all happened, right? Back, let's say 2006, there were not really a lot of smartphones out there. We're talking 10 to 12 years. It's all of us. When we're raising kids, we're raising our grandkids, our nieces and nephews, we're making the footprint that they get to see. So if I, as a parent, am going on there and I say, hey, we're at Disneyland, let's take a picture and tag it, they're seeing that as they grow up. They're seeing you take all of these pictures, so you have to also be responsible about how you are on social media as well. And so those are some of the things that we teach parents, is that you have to also be responsible to show and model to your child what is appropriate.
Yeah.
So it's ironic, we haven't gotten to Q&A yet, but Tracy Williams from Greenville, Michigan says, what can we do as people to help? And a lot of what you just said is exactly this. That's why we do these town halls, is to share this message for people that have circles of influence. Take this information, steal everything we just said, steal it. Go show the video, and have a presence in their life and work with your forensic interview organization, your own community, work with your local law enforcement, say, what do we do to put this out? Because next week, the game is going to change.
Right.
But the predators will stay the same.
And it's not doing letter writing campaigns, because we've been successful in getting, apps taken down. But like Tori said, the fact is, there's going to be other apps. There's new apps. She didn't even get to some of the apps that you can change it so that it looks like the school's emblem, but really it's a secret messaging app. If you go onto the App Store, the Android store, or the iOS store, and type in secret messaging, you will come up with over 800 different apps that people have put on the marketplace.
You can change the icons.
Yes.
And that's what's so frightening, because parents are going to be like, well, I'm going to go and see if my kid has that icon. You can change the icon. So that is so frightening.
No, we talked about if people want to get more information, like what you just mentioned, when someone changes the logo look on a secret app, what's the term that's called? Do you recall? I've heard it as ghosting, I've heard it as shadowing, I've heard of all sorts of things. If you don't know, Google. YouTube. I mean, there are so many things. Polaris Project, OUR, Operation Underground Railroad. There are so many ways to get information. The key is, don't do nothing.
I think, and another piece, we were talking about this before with Captain Nelson, it's making sure that you have parental settings so you know what's being downloaded.
Yeah.
You can't change an app
Boundaries.
if you know what's being downloaded on your child's phone. If you know that they're supposed to have 14 apps and there's a 15th app, you need to know what that app is. You need to be going in there every day, learning it, going on YouTube to figure it out. It's time out for saying, I don't know how to use that. Oh, there's another new app. Because they're going to continue to develop it, because, like Sheriff Swanson said, it is the fastest growing network. And so if they can come up with apps for your kids, that they become little breadcrumbs, and they will pick up the breadcrumbs, and then the perpetrators are able to get to the kids.
So we're going to answer some questions now, and then each one of us are going to give you one major piece of advice, starting with Nisi, then Tori, then myself, and we'll close out. But before we do that, we have some questions, and I'll direct who can answer or who has that. The first one is Linda Cullen, says, what is the best way to monitor a device?
There's so many, and they're ever changing. Captain Nelson, she has a great one that she suggests. If you have an iPhone, you should only have one iTunes account in your family. So many times we see kids that have their own iTunes. So what parents can do is, if they have an iTunes account, they can see what apps have been downloaded. Do not let your child have their own iTunes account.
And that's for Apple. What about Androids?
Android has similar ones.
They do, and you can set up on the Android permissions and PIN codes that have to go in order for the child to be able to download the app, or you can get notification of what apps they are downloading as well.
And I would give you this advice, is grab their phone and go through each app. Right there next to you. And you know your kid better than anybody. There's no better parental control than a parent. There's no better grandparent control than a parent. So you just go there and you look and say, what's this, what's this? And you'll see if their demeanor changes, that they're trying to hide something.
Well, I bring up the thing about a dog. When I was younger and I had dogs, they'd always say, if you want to see if a dog is aggressive, take their food bowl away while they're eating. If they snap, they're aggressive. If you want to see if a child, a teen, might have some problems on their phone, let me see your phone. Let me take your phone. If you have nothing to hide,
nothing to fear.
Go ahead and take it. That's a little thing to see. I mean, kids were like, oh my God, no.
And I know the answer to the first question is, can live chat be disabled?
It can on some of them, yes.
And how do you know about it? Google it. Hey, can Fortnite live chat be disabled? It'll tell you exactly how to do it. The second question is, what are some good parental control apps that are out there?
There's Nanny Cam, there's Bark. I mean, there's a ton out there. But what I can say is, you can get an app, but the developers of apps are always more advanced than the ones that are there to try and disable it. It's what Sheriff Swanson said, you gotta know what's on your kid's phone. It's not allowing phones in the bedroom. I mean, if they're not allowed to be private, if they don't have any privacy when it comes to their phones, then they're not able to have these conversations or take pictures or send videos. The only reason that they're able to do it is because there's time for them to be able to do that. There's no reason that you should be asleep and your child's phone is still with them. Because as Tori said, we're seeing this at 2, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning.
I also want to, there's another question, it says target ages. Let me be very specific here. A predator is a sexual deviant. And they fantasize all day, every day, as to what their fantasy looks like when they act it out. It may be a 13-year-old blonde, 4'5", 100 pounds, wearing these clothes. It could be a 18-year-old, it could be a 3-year-old. It's everybody. The target age is who the predator sees as their way of acting out their fantasy.
I mean, I've seen it as young as 6 months old.
Yeah.
You know, obviously they can't use the phone, but the parent is using their 6-year-old or their 6-month-old and taking photos of them.
Because there's somebody on the back end who wants to see
And
it.
they're selling photos,
They're selling
and
photos.
then, and they're getting a monetary
So
price for that
when
as
you
well.
when you take the sexual deviancy of a human being, it's just like, what's your food choice? It's
Right.
whatever I'm
It's a
hungry
thought
for, and it may be different for all three of us. So
Right.
the answer to the target age is everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
The second question is
Is
for
what-
Tori is what and why do people use Finsta?
It's just, it's fake, just so you could just, I think if you have your real Instagram and your real Facebook or your real social media, mom and dad can look at that and they're like, oh, there's nothing on here. They're not even on my tail of what I'm doing on Finsta. And, you know, that's where they can see people, you know, they're commenting, they're saying things that they would never say.
Yeah.
On their real
Yeah.
page.
It's the difference between having a PG, like you have a PG movie that you
Yes.
share with your mom, that this is what I'm
Yes.
watching, and watching an X-rated movie. And so it's not that Finsta is a different app, it's Instagram, it's just that they have other accounts there. It could be that they're catfishing somebody, they could,
Yes.
this is Tori, and then she wants to be somebody else on other days, so this is Meet Sasha.
Yeah.
So I just,
Yeah.
would you, hold on one sec, Paul A's got a great question. When Nisi talks about catfishing, that's being somebody that you're not to get something that you want. Okay? That's what catfish is. Being something that you're not to get something that you want. So we talk about sextortion, I mean, that goes all ages. We have people that'll send a Facebook message and say, hey, what's up, beautiful? Or, hey, do you remember meeting me? And of course, you got somebody who's hooked, and it's some older individual that may just at that moment be vulnerable, like, yeah, I don't remember, tell me about it. Well, I saw you at, boom, because they've already seen all your Facebook, your Instagram. Like, okay, man, you look so beautiful, you're so this. Even adults get groomed. They fill that void, and guess what? It gets down to the point where they're taking a picture of themselves, grown folks, married grown folks, 60s, 70s-year-olds, and they send a picture of their penis, they send a picture of their breast, they send a picture of something, and within seconds we've seen it. Now that I got it, I'm going to send it to you, and you. Send me 15 grand, and if you don't do that, I'm going to tell you, and you. And guess what? They send it, and people are just obliterated. Paul A. says, can people who are not friends find you on Snapchat?
Depends on your settings.
Yes, if you have your setting as open, you're sharing your location, and depending on where you are sending your snaps, yes, you can. Anybody can go on Snapchat, and you can find, like, I don't know what they're, like, hot cells. I can tap on it, and I can zoom in, and I can see what somebody snapped. I mean, and some people, they're addicted to it. They want to be seen.
Yeah.
So, yes, you can do that.
And I think, Paul A., the real question is working with your kid to figure out what the definition of a friend is, because
Perfect.
it goes back to what we define friendship as and what they define friendship as. Friendship to them is followers. It's a number of people. Am I going to get seen? Am I going to get more stars, more likes, more diamonds, depending on whatever app it is. But it's really having a serious conversation about who a true friend is and what a follower is, and who should be following you, and who true friends are.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're almost getting towards the end of our conversation. We want to do a few more questions, but when we talk about friends, it's relative. And we talk about success, it's relative. You know, a success to a 6-year-old is beating their friend on a 20-yard dash, right?
Right.
To a 16-year-old, it's followers. To a 65-year-old, it's retirement, it's money. And I think it's important that we have to look at the ability to understand not how you feel, but how that 15-year-old feels. Don't expect a 15-year-old to have the maturity that you do as an
Yes.
adult. You got to get into their head, and it may not make sense to you, but it makes sense to them. And that's why it's important that if you don't have the skill set, that you involve people in your community, from your churches, your schools, to say, I'm a single mom, I'm a single dad, I'm a grandparent raising my kids, I don't know what to do, but I need somebody to talk. There are people, they're watching right now, they're like, I would love to invest into the life of someone else. But you can't forget that who we're dealing with are people that are very vulnerable.
Right.
It's just like Nisi says, we don't want to re-victimize victims, so when a forensic interview is done at the Big Blue House, and you have it's not at an office, it's not at a sheriff's office, it's not a police department, you guys are on the ground, you're sitting Indian style,
Yes.
you're creating a relationship
Comfortable.
that's
Yeah.
comfortable enough for them to share.
Yeah,
And
it's a
that's what a
house.
true friendship is.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
home.
And they've never had that many of these kids.
Right.
Rick Keltner says, is G.H.O.S.T going into schools for presentation? Rick, I can't say that I can get there any faster than I want to. And the answer is yes. We not only are going in there, Tori and I, we had a great history. We put together a program called Chasing the Dragon years ago. We presented over 22,000 people around Genesee County and all the high schools. G.H.O.S.T has been seen as a very strong, confident authority in the human trafficking world, not only just locally, but across state, around the country, and the world. And we are taking this. There's other great organizations and other great movements out there, but we've got something special. And it's been my position around the country that every police department in the United States has their hand in human trafficking, and that we are going to be a part of that. So yes, we've got a new movie coming out that is going to be released midsummer. It's an incredible documentary. When I say documentary, it seems like, it's a doc. No, this thing is amazing. That's going to be our preempt, where we have the schools show this hour and 25, 30-minute incredible movie. And then on the back end, we have G.H.O.S.T members go in, where we divide and conquer. And the other thing we're doing is for law enforcement is we're teaching what we have done to make it a success in a law enforcement video training module where only law enforcement can get it, and we are able to duplicate what we've done, make it scalable, and so there's no reason why law enforcement can't do what we've done in Genesee County over the last 3.5 years around the country. There should be no safe corner for a pedophile to hurt your kids or mine. Nisi?
So one of the questions on there that someone wants to know is, what are the behaviors that could alert you that sextortion might be happening? It could be that your kid is spending more time in their room, the door is locked, there's a change in their physical demeanor, their grades are changing because they're depressed about the fact that they are being sextorted, they don't know what to say, they don't know how to come to you. And one of I think the key things that you have to remember is teaching your kids that even if they make a mistake,
That's right.
that they're not going to get in trouble, because one of the things that the pedophiles really want to hone in on the kids is, if you tell your parents, you're going to get in trouble. It's important for kids to know that if they make a mistake and they send a dick pic, okay, they sent a dick pic, they need to be able to talk to their parent instead of being exploited by this person who's then making money off of their child. And so those are some of the key things. But again, it's, if your kid wants to stay in their room, take the door hinges off. Like, you don't have to literally sit there, and if your kid has a fake phone, because I've seen situations where kids end up getting fake phones.
The parent gives them the phone.
Yeah,
We see that
they'll
a
mail the
lot.
phone to a friend, and then the friend brings it to school when the kids were going to school pre-COVID. So it's really important for you to know what's going on. No, change the Wi-Fi password. There are many things that you can do to ensure that you know what's going on in your house.
Now, you may have answered your question as far as a final thought. Is there anything else you want to add other than the great answer you just gave to the last question?
I just say be intentional about parenting, and be intentional about grandparenting, and being a true friend to children, because you only have one opportunity to do it. And so as you're intentional about what you do on social media, also model the same thing for those kids.
Tori, final thoughts.
I would just say, just get in your kids' business. Know your kids' passwords. Know that predators are out there. United States, we are the largest consumer for child sex videos. The United States. So this is where the predators are. And don't allow them to see your kids. Take your phone, take the phones like she said, don't have them at night, and know their passwords. Know what they're doing, get on their phones, and just be aware. Just because it hasn't happened to you yet, or you don't know anybody, doesn't mean it's not there. Predators are out there, and just the personal things that I see in my age, it's terrifying. So it's so scary.
And as the sheriff, I want to tell you this, that we have a common theme in our leadership team, and that is, to be unclear is to be unkind. And sometimes you're going to have to talk about these harsh things. You heard language here that is hard to hear, but it's real. And I guarantee your kids have already heard it and seen it, so don't feel like being real is going too far. As a dad, I always talked about controlled growth with my kids. They're going to know at a young age about the realities of life. Not everything, but as they get older, we extend that more and more. And I would encourage you, don't be discouraged. Discouragement is the opposite of courage. I'd rather you be courageous. I would rather you be courageous and have these hardcore conversations, because the chances of your kids getting harmed more than this are slim to none. This is what's going to harm your kids and your family more than anything else. It's worth it. It's worth it for you to be courageous, to learn yourself. Don't say, I don't know computers, I don't know, I'm computer literate. That's an excuse. What's more important? And that is protecting the innocence of the most vulnerable. You have so many assets at your disposal. You have us, you have these videos, you have other great resources, and that's what you need to do. Be courageous by getting in your kids' business and being intentional. Hey, that wraps up for this hour. We're going to come back to you February 9th at 2 o'clock, Facebook Live again. We're going to have actual people who play the games and those that are on this apps to have this continuing conversation. And I can almost bet within the next couple weeks when we come back that things are going to change even more. Unfortunately, we're going to have probably another story of an example, and we're going to have different people up here. So as Sheriff of Genesee County, Chris Swanson, a great and a crazy good investigator, Tori Dallas, assigned to G.H.O.S.T, and my dear friend, Nisi Holloman, Director of Voices for Children here in Flint, Michigan, we want to say thank you, and we'll see you next time.